Mercedes did show up. They showed up and they showed out. They showed up, and as a Mercedes fan, very excited about this. They showed up with a damn rocket ship. Khaki Kevin Walker, I want your thoughts first as the resident McLaren fan of this podcast.
Do I have to? Yeah. Yay. Mercedes has a rocket ship, and they're probably going to run the season again, just like they did in 2014. George is going to be a number one driver, and he's going to win all these races without having to do anything. Super pumped. So happy. I'm so glad that a team like Mercedes gets to take over as constructors and probably drivers champions after we had it for 2 years. Yeah, super pumped. So happy that we stood no chance in qualifying, and it was just a battle between George Russell and the 18-year-old on who was going to get into the 18s first, while everybody else is still trying to break 20s.
19 and 20.
Yeah, super fun weekend. Like I said, definitely want to see that again. No, look, it's yeah, you got a rocket ship, and we've seen how these things change before. You know, we've seen it from McLaren, we've seen it from Red Bull, we've seen it from all these powerful teams where they can come out hot and be the odds-on favorite to win constructors and do all these great and fantastic things. But, you know, that's what the upgrades are for. Ferrari looked strong. Red Bull, you already kind of talked about it. They look like they can contend. I have to be curious what McLaren looks like as the season goes on, with their upgrades being that is kind of what they're known for, is upgrading their car. So I'm yeah, a good weekend, strong weekend, two really strong drivers, and George is kind of proven to everybody that he was worth the leap on becoming driver number one.
Yeah, I think I feel a lot of that. I think a lot of us had the feeling the rumors could have been a bit overblown going into this offseason. I don't think anybody was expecting a nearly 0.8 gap from Russell to the next closest constructor in Isaac Hadjar, pulling up the quality times. Monstrous gap. And you can imagine if Max Verstappen's car didn't, throw him into the wall into T1 during Q1, he'd be a bit closer. But I don't even know if the might of Max Verstappen could have reasonably overcome that gap. I think maybe it's a 0.3 gap or a half a second, but I don't know for a fact that Max is putting that car on pole at that stage. It was a monster gap for Mercedes. What was your question?
Yeah, I remember when I think it was Oscar who posted the 119.3. And I felt really good about the 119.3 because I think Mercedes was sitting at
119.5 or something like that.
Or something like, well, yeah, it was something like that. And so I was like, okay, the tires are heating up, we're doing a little bit better. And then whenever Kimmy posted the 18.9, I just threw my hands in the air and I was like, okay, this is a different ball game. This is a ball game that we can't play. Yeah. Neither can the Ferraris.
It was a monster gap. It's one thing to have a stellar engine. Mercedes might have built a legit rocket with wheels, considering their closest customer, was the McLaren 0.8 behind.
Also, we cannot gloss over the fact the engineers that put together Kimi Antonelli's car after he destroyed it.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, kudos to you. I mean, that car was wrecked.
Normally we don't minutes to get that thing out there.
Normally we don't have to wonder if a car is going to make qualifying because it always does. And I remember I was thinking in my head, I was like, maybe I should text Tristan and be like, hey, are you worried about the car making quali? And I remember I did at some point, but I was like, I mean, surely they'll have it ready. But then I saw how bad it was and how much they were going to have to do. And Tristan, help me out with my memory. Who was it that caused the virtual safety car that gave them that extra bit of time in Q1?
Max. Literally,
it was Max. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Max's crash literally gave them 2 or 3 more minutes
because Kimmy was not on. Kimmy was not out on track. Kimmy was not out on track.
Let's see. Yeah, I remember this exact conversation. We were talking about this. Great news for Antonelli. Gave them that much more time to fix the Mercedes. It was because I remember when it crashed, I was like, that was a big one. He's fine, but I don't know if the car is going to be ready. I wouldn't count on it being full tilt with that hit. Probably needs a new chassis. Kid pushing the limit. Dude, the Merc just flew under Russell. Oh my God. That was disgusting. Someone's said on Twitter it was a used soft too. So that was wrapping up FP3 when Russell posted his lap in like the 118s. It went like a second faster than like the whole field or something. But I remember that crash going, I don't think he's going to make qualifying. I would be shocked. And it really came down to minute by minute. And for them to put Kimmy in the car, a reconstructed Mercedes, by the way, again, and him to still land P2 and drive half a second faster than Isaac Hadjar in P3. Mercedes have a monster.
Yeah.
And the race, look, even in the race, by the way, the race pace out front was also still so good that on the fresher hards, the Ferraris never even inched back within 7 seconds of Antonelli during the feature race. Antonelli finished 2.9 seconds away from Russell at the flag, and I really believe that George was coasting and managing the tires during most of the race. P3 Charles finished over 12 seconds behind Antonelli. And a lot of the pundits and even their like competitors were expecting Mercedes to be strong this season, but they looked insane in quality. And they might have been holding back during the race. That's also been floating around by the way.
Because Max was posting fastest lap times.
He was cooking. But I think Antonelli ended up grabbing the fastest lap like right at the end on old hards. This could be like the return to the top for Mercedes this season, similar to like what we saw from them in 2014 during that era of dominance. I don't want to project that far out. Of course, there's going to be, again, tweaks and changes to how these regulations.
It is only race one in this new regulation.
And it's only race one, but it's one thing to walk into a season, you're down by like 3/10, right? Like McLaren were down by like 3/10 or something like that when they eventually went on to like win the constructors that first year, a couple of years ago. Red Bull looked out the gate strongest. It was going to be another one of those Max dominated seasons, especially him coming off that historically great season. I don't know how you look at 8/10 in qualifying and can reasonably ascertain how that's going to be made up during a season. Australia was reportedly not one of the best tracks for these new regulations either. We're supposed to get a better look at like how these cars are supposed to perform in China. We'll see. It's going to be a really packed in weekend with a sprint. But as a fan of Mercedes, I got the team kit on. I'm excited for George Russell to finally have a title-worthy car under him after he spent some rough years in Williams and 4 years sticking with Mercedes during the team's rough ground effect era. I've talked about it a lot. I think Russell's a terrific driver, and I am hopeful that he really can grab a championship this season. I think I'm rooting for George maybe even more than Kimi this season, knowing how good this car is supposed to be, seeing his journey. And as for Kimi, learning alongside a possible championship contender while driving a title-worthy car is going to be huge for his development and his potential too. And as a fan of the sport, though, taking a step back, you have to hope the rest of the grid learn quickly to make some strong innovations fast, because otherwise it could be another dawn of that silver era for Mercedes. You want there to be competition at the front. With how incredible the race starts were for Ferrari, who knows? Like maybe they can really make it a fight this year. But you want title fights. We want what happened last year with your boys at McLaren and Max Verstappen being in that mix. You want there to be fighting at the front, not just one weekend at a time, but like over the course of an entire season. You want there to be questions about who's going to win week in, week out. As much as it would make me personally happy to see Mercedes dominate the sport, I know fans of the other 10 teams on the grid would be lackluster to watch a race weekend. It would not necessarily be the best thing for Formula One for Mercedes to run away with titles for the next 10 years. But a gap of 8/10s is going to be really tough, even on a circuit.
At what point do you think they let Kimi through to have his first win?
I don't think that Mercedes are that kind of a team. I don't.
So you think that do you think there's a reality that Toto doesn't let Kimi have a win this year?
It's not about letting. I really don't. I would be surprised if they took that approach, because I think, knowing Kimi, I don't think Kimi would want it that way. Knowing what I know about him, with all due respect to like what McLaren had done for Piastri, it didn't really feel like Piastri won a race until Baku that year, right?
It just pissed him
in 2023. It just made him mad and invalidated his first win. It always feels weird to have it handed to you rather than you take it. That win in Baku felt like Piastri's first win, even though he got that first win in Hungary with the swap, right? Things happen on track sometimes, papaya rules, blah, blah, blah. But we all look at what happened in Hungary that year as, he won, but it was Lando's to win. I think that Mercedes are not going to take that approach. I think that they're probably going to let him and Russell just duke it out. If they feel like they have the best car on track, Kimi is going to find that win eventually. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take. But I don't see Mercedes doing that to their drivers. I think that for them, it's going to be a go take it, go earn it. And Russell's going to feel the same way. I don't think Russell's going to want to hand a win back to Kimi necessarily. I mean, he's going to look at every opportunity to win a championship as, one race closer, right? Or one sprint race closer, if you will. Kimi's shown that he can at least hang with the big boys. He got that P2 in Brazil last year. He got 2 more podiums last year, Canada and Las Vegas. I think he'll earn himself one. It's not going to have to be handed to him. That's just, I don't see it working out that way. And look, there's still a lot of waiting to do, and there's going to be a lot of waiting and seeing to do after that first race in Australia. As far as the whole regulation is concerned and the rest of the field, it's only been one race, but Mercedes made a massive statement at Melbourne. And I want to know what the TLPs think of the Mercedes start to the regs. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think it's going to continue? Do you think it's going to stay this way? Are you going to, be as excited as Kevin is very much so perpetuating with that face right now, like to watch the rest of the season? I want to know what the TLPs think. I'm very excited to see what happens the rest of the season, but obviously my dog in this fight is right out the front at the moment.